What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Effin' Nerds podcast. I am Nick Denizio. Sitting across from me is my boy, Martin Moreno. What's up, man?
What's up? I'm happy to be back. I miss you, man. Went like a whole week without you, but
No.
back here, ready to do the show. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this since the last one. And yeah, I got the bug, man. I got the podcast bug. I'm ready to do so many more of these, and I'm excited for today.
All right, ready to get into it?
I'm so fucking ready. Let's do this.
All right, so here we go. Kicking it off. Martin Mcdonaugh sets up his new film, The Banshees of Inisheer, and reteams with his In Bruges co-stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. The film is set on a remote Irish isle where they both play two lifelong friends who find themselves at an impasse when one abruptly ends their relationship with alarming consequences for the both of them. It's going to shoot this summer. What do we think, man? Are we excited for the In Bruges reunion?
I'm super excited for the In Bruges reunion, but I do have a question for you.
Yes.
When is it being released?
Probably next year.
Next year? Okay.
Yeah.
Before we kind of get started on the show, you know, I told you that I missed you, you know, give you a little praise, you know, but now I just got to pretty much shit on you a little bit because that's what best friends do. Okay? You know, we try to do a good job here to be professional.
Right.
You know, we got a little setup going on. We got some speakers, we got some headphones, we got some mics, we got some stuff.
We got some stuff.
And you know, Niz sends me the outline for the shows, and I just gotta say that you butchered Colin Farrell's name on the outline. You spelled it Ferel.
Dude, I'm not a good speller, man.
I didn't know this was your first time hearing about Colin Farrell, but you're better than that, okay? Let's be better. Let's strive for 100. You know, I made some mistakes on the last podcast. Emma Roberts is not a Neon Demon, okay? But come on, let's be better.
All right.
Back on the subject.
Stay
on target. I'm excited for the In Bruges reunion, and this is a little side story, just a little plug that I'm gonna put in, which is kind of crazy. But In Bruges is low key a Harry Potter spin-off. Like in an Elseworld.
In an Elseworld,
it's like a Harry... Bro, okay, you got Colin Farrell, who was in Fantastic Beasts.
Yep.
You got, obviously, Brendan Gleeson, who's Mad-Eye Moody. You got... I'm not sure what her name is. I always forget, but... Oh, Clemens Posey. She's in it, and she plays... She was in Goblet of Fire. She's one of the...
that's right.
Yeah, she's one of the... She was the selected champion for her class.
Yes. Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, and then there's one more. Oh, and of course, the obvious one, Ralph Fiennes.
Yes.
Fucking Lord Voldemort.
Yep, Lord Voldemort.
It's kind of hilarious, but when I was looking through the rundown, that sort of came to mind because I haven't seen that movie in a while, and it's kind of hilarious. But, again, back to it, stay on target. I am excited for his film. I am excited mostly because of Martin Mcdonough. He is one of my favorite writer-directors. I really love his dialogue. And he essentially... I think I could be wrong, but I feel like when you're essentially a writer, you almost have an idea in your head of how the dialogue is going to be delivered. So you already go in there more prepared to execute it in terms of like directing your actors, which is why I think his actors do so well. You look at 3 Billboards, both of his actors won an Oscar. And I think that's pretty much a testament of you being a writer and essentially seeing how your dialogue is going to be delivered. Because it does have a very unique delivery in terms of like how quick it is, how witty it is. And yeah, man, I'm excited for this film. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to what he can do with these two sort of the second time around. Because I feel like In Bruges, since it was his first film, he was kind of, I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like the first half is a little bit all over the place. And I think that's sort of like a testament of him trying to find his footing as a director. I think it kind of does sort of like shape itself out towards the end. But if you look at his films, they almost kind of progressively get better in terms of like a whole movie.
Right.
Because Seven Psychopaths, I feel like it's really solid, but the last like half hour is just bonkers. And then 3 Billboards is like his first sort of like fully complete film. But now that he really has his identity as a director, I want to see what now he can do with these two actors again this time around.
And I pretty much like agree with a lot of what you said. I think with In Bruges, I think I'm a little more like I think it's more cohesive. Like for me, the thing about it's funny with his films. It's like I feel like In Bruges, it's like, it's his first one getting, to know, the ins and outs of directing. Seven Psychopaths is like, to me, his most like rewatchable movie. I think it's like his most enjoyable.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Everyone in it, especially like Sam Rockwell.
And the dialogue is so good.
So good. Like Christopher Walken's great in it.
Yeah.
And then Three Billboards, it's going to sound negative, but it's like the Oscar baity one.
Right,
because
it's more like
drama. Heavy themes and everything like that.
Slower, more like drama-ish.
But In Bruges is the most quotable. There's so many phenomenal lines.
See, that's the thing, man. I have to watch it because I haven't watched it in so long.
Oh, it's so good. Me and my one buddy, we quote it all the time. There's like
What's a good one?
Well, the one thing that me and my buddy always quote is when Brendan Gleeson's going to get the gun to kill Colin Farrell. And he goes
when he's sitting on the park bench?
No, but before that, he actually goes to pick up a gun from somebody who's a contact of like Ray Fiennes. And the guy's like, you could take him to like alcoves. He goes, do you know this word? He goes, yeah, alcoves. It's like nooks and crannies. And the guy's so fascinated. He goes, nooks and crannies, yeah. He's like, oh, that's a great word for alcoves.
There are a lot of alcoves in the Cunningham Astrid Park. You use this word, alcoves?
Alcoves, yes.
Are you sure this is the right word, alcoves?
Alcoves, yes. Kind of like nooks and crannies.
Nooks and crannies, yes. Perhaps this would be more accurate. Nooks and crannies rather than alcoves. Yeah.
Great. Like there's this one quote in Seven Psychopaths when he tells Christopher Walken to put his hands up.
Yeah.
He's like, too bad.
He's like, but I have a gun.
He's like, who cares?
Who cares?
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Put your hands up. No. But I've got a gun.
I don't care.
Doesn't make any sense.
Too bad.
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about before, of how you can almost picture Martin Mcdonaugh as he's writing this dialogue, how he just almost envisions how it's going to come out.
Right.
So the way it comes out, like the delivery in all of his movies have like this certain, almost very unique delivery, whether it's like quick, whether it's sharp, whether it's witty. And that's what makes his first two movies so much fun, which I totally agree with you. I do think that Billboards is it's a fantastic film.
It is. It also has those darkly, like, funny moments.
Right, for sure. And actually, what would you say is your favorite film of his?
I think my favorite is definitely Seven Psychopaths because to me it's the most, like, enjoyable. I think... So what I was saying before was In Bruges is probably like his most like quotable. I think it's really like, I love the dialogue in that. It's just so like just on point. But like I think Seven Psychopaths is just like the most rewatchable. I think it's the most fun. It's the most like lighthearted, I think, even though it does deal with some pretty nasty shit.
Yeah.
And then Three Billboards is like the more Oscar bait. It's a little more heavy. Not one you could always watch, but still really enjoyable. So I would definitely lock down
probably say
Seven
Psychopaths too, especially because the first like hour and a half is just... It's just so much. Like I said, I feel like it does get a little crazy, not in a bad way.
No.
But like you almost have this very sort of controlled story, and then I believe it's when they're in the cemetery and he's kind of saying how because he's writing a script.
Well, that to me is the best scene is when Sam Rockwell's reading Colin Farrell and Christopher Walken his script, and he goes over
I know
like
we're
the whole
spoiling
thing.
it, but I don't give a shit.
No,
like, it's been out for
if
years.
you haven't seen it, you have to see it.
It's been out for years, but essentially Colin Farrell is a screenwriter, and he's writing a story called Seven Psychopaths, and there's this insane scene when it's a cemetery, right?
So Sam Rockwell is trying to help Colin Farrell write his script. So he writes his own script of the Seven Psychopaths, and he's like, all right, and they're sitting around like the campfire.
Yeah, but is that a No. Okay, I'm sorry. The shootout in the script takes place in a cemetery.
In a cemetery, yeah.
Right. Oh my god,
and
it's
all the characters
coming
are there.
back to me right now. There's that insane shot when Christopher Walken comes out of the coffin with like two guns, and then he like shoots at two people. Yes. Such a good... we have to watch that because I haven't seen that film in years, and we definitely have to watch that film.
And I would urge everybody, if you're on the fence about whether or not you should watch a movie called Seven Psychopaths, go on YouTube and look up that scene where Sam Rockwell reads the script. It is hysterical. It's one of my favorite all-time scenes. It's so good. And actually,
Woody Harrelson is... Remember when we were talking about how sort of Black Mask, how he's not really intimidating, or at least how I personally felt like he wasn't really intimidating.
Right.
Woody Harrelson plays that fine line of like intimidating but sensitive.
But also,
like the whole movie, he's out after his dog.
He's trying to find his dog.
He wants his dog. What's his dog's name again? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember the dog's name.
It's like Bonnie.
Yeah,
Bonnie. Yeah. But Woody Harrelson, he plays such a good sort of like menacing, but like kind of soft. I always think it's interesting when sort of like gangsters or whatever, like kind of like Sopranos. You know how he has to go to therapy. He's this kind of like big mafia guy who has to go to therapy. And I always think it's interesting when they do that in films or just in media in general, where it's like you have this sort of like just badass, like hardcore, just raw guy, but he's like so soft on the inside. And I think Woody Harrelson does such a good job of portraying that type of character, and it's amazing.
Right. So I'm going down a rabbit hole right now because if you go on IMDb for Seven Psychopaths, you get all those quotes. You can look at most memorable quotes.
Yeah.
And just like the first one, it's where it's between Colin Farrell and Sam Rockwell, and he's telling Sam Rockwell, he goes, "I don't have a drinking problem. I just like drinking."
I don't have a drinking problem. I just like drinking.
Of course you do. Marty, one, you're a writer. Two, you're from Ireland. It's part of your heritage. You're fucked.
Fuck off now, Billy. Seriously, just fuck off now. I'm not in the fucking mood!
You're fucked from birth. Spanish have got bullfighting, the French got cheese, and the Irish have got alcoholism.
We're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
Who's the girlfriend in that? She's like a bee.
Oh, Abby Cornish.
Abby Cornish,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Right.
Kaya.
Yeah.
Who's a fucking bitch.
You're a fucking bitch. He's like, what am I doing here? You don't remember?
Yeah.
No, you call your girlfriend a fucking bitch. He's like, what?
What?
Such a good film.
The only other thing that I'll say on this before we wrap it up is that I kind of credit Martin Mcdonough with kind of reviving Colin Farrell's career a little bit, because before In Bruges, he kind of had like a string of bombs. And when he got In Bruges, that was kind of the first time where Colin Farrell was... It almost felt like he wasn't like being like a big star. Mm-hmm. He was kind of just being like an act, like almost like a character actor in this movie. And like from then on, working with again Seven Psychopaths, and then he hooked up with, I forget who's the director of like The Lobster and Killing of the Sacred Deer. And,
it's like a European dude.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'll find out for you.
But so since he worked on In Bruges, he kind of like has done these like smaller films, but just has like just crushed it, like just gone back to his roots. Really great acting.
Yorgos Lanthimos. He's the one who also did The Favorite, correct?
Yes.
You're right. I don't think I can ever watch The Lobster. You saw The Lobster, right?
Yes.
The dog scene.
Yeah.
That I almost checked out.
I mean, like I'm not like I actually really like The Favorite, but I'm not too big on his films in general. Like Killing of the Sacred Deer, I wasn't too like.
No, that was.
But I like Colin Farrell in these movies.
Right. I thought Killing of the Sacred Deer was a lot more like trippy.
Yeah.
Like super like strange and weird.
Yeah.
Very. I thought The Lobster was also Lobster was like a strange movie, but it has like a clear through line of like what's going on.
Correct.
Whereas Killing of the Sacred Deer, there was some shit that was going on. I was like, what
is happening?
Yeah, what is
right now?
happening?
Yeah.
Anything else, bro, or you want to move on to the next subject?
No, man, super excited for this, and I kind of can't wait. Because they're shooting in the summer, I'm guessing it's going to come out probably next fall.
Right, and the reason I asked the delivery date...
The delivery date?
He's not giving birth. The release date was because for that reason, because he essentially puts out a movie every like 4 to 5 years.
Right.
And so I would imagine he's been working on this for the past couple of years. Now he's ready to shoot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally agree with you about how he's essentially revived Colin Farrell's career. That's actually a really good point. I really didn't think of that. Which is also what a lot of actors do. You kind of strike out a couple times. You do something smaller because for the most part, these smaller movies are more story driven.
Right.
And
it's just about doing
show
good
off
work.
A bit,
yeah.
Right? Show off a bit, show off what you can do. Other people can see it, and then you can move forward from there. So. And who doesn't love Colin Farrell? Spelled Farrell.
Sorry, Colin Farrell. I'll get it right next time.
It's alright. He's watching this right now. He's like, motherfucker.
Son of a bitch.
Actually, that was a terrible Irish accent. I take that. I don't know what the fuck that was. All right, on to the next subject.
So there was some Venom 2 set photos. Just Jared dropped a couple showing first looks at Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, a.k.a. Carnage. And then Tom Hardy posted to his Instagram a few behind-the-scenes photos of him and Woody Harrelson, as well as director Andy Serkis. And then Hardy called for the Academy to recognize stunt actors as he was praising his own for the work they put in.
By the way, we just missed a golden opportunity and an awesome transition talking about Woody Harrelson and going into Cletus Cassidy.
Do you want to redo that?
Nah, man. Let's say true to our 6 viewers.
Right,
we got you guys.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, the set photos for Venom weren't really anything exciting.
Yeah, there's not too much here.
No, it's just really pretty much it. The only thing about it was really we got like a first look at kind of Cletus Cassidy. He's not wearing that ridiculous wig.
No.
That he was wearing.
Where he's looking like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Yeah, I was looking like a Cabbage Patch Kid, but I know that sort of hairstyle is very. I haven't read a comic with Carnage in it in a long time, but I do know that wig pretty much was very reminiscent of a similar look in some of the comics.
Yeah, it
like
was
the big curly hair.
It was comic accurate, but because you just know Woody Harrelson is bald, it just looked ridiculous.
And also the line was just so ridiculous too. It was so on the nose, like get ready for a little bit of carnage.
When I get out of here, and I will, there's gonna be carnage.
Oh my God. Woof. Woof, Woody, woof. But yeah, nothing too exciting. It is cool to see just that the project is moving along.
Yeah.
And that kind of to stay on his hair.
It's still ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it's creepy.
It is kind of creepy.
Like if I saw that motherfucker on the streets, I'd be like, I do not want to go anywhere near that person.
No.
It's like weirdly like creepy, and it's like it just yells out, I'm a psychopath.
Right.
Like that's what it pretty much yells out.
You know what's funny about it? So if you look at like his hair, it's got that weird like come over like this.
Yeah.
Somebody posted a side by side of that, and like you ever see those wooden back scratchers that have that same
back scratcher.
Which it
back
looks
scratcher.
it's an uncanny resemblance, but the one thing about like Woody Harrelson, regardless of how ridiculous the hair looks, is that he can really play a good villain. Like
he can play anything.
He can play anything.
Woody Harrelson is the fucking man.
But,
that dude, I don't smoke that often. I think I smoke like maybe 5 times my entire life. But I would definitely rip a joint with Woody Harrelson.
With Woody Harrelson, 100%.
For sure.
But you saw Out of the Furnace, right?
Actually, yeah, I wasn't crazy about that movie though. But
Right, but I think he in it plays just a really just effective like scumbag.
That's what I was saying before, bro. Like he knows how to play someone who's menacing. He knows like he always, if he's playing a bad person, like he always has a presence on screen no matter what. But when he plays a villain or an antagonist, he always like brings that little extra like isness to it. And it's usually like always like in his mannerisms, like in his face. Like he has this sort of like mug where he has like it's like this kind of mug. But it's and he's always like, I feel like he's always chewing on something.
Yeah.
He's always like fucking just snacking or chewing on something. But he has this sort of like intensity with his facial expressions that he always brings when he's playing an antagonist. And I think I'm excited to see what he's going to do as Carnage. I am.
Especially just him in squaring off with like Tom Hardy is going to be really awesome, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, and just seeing like them play off of each other. Yeah. It's going to be really exciting, which is kind of like my hope for the sequel is that it's it's funny too because like the first Venom had a very like almost like early 2000s kind of feel, and not in a good way.
Oh my God,
like,
that trailer.
Like, it was almost like very like Fantastic Four-ish.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Every single time when we saw that trailer, when he's like, your boss is a really bad person. I was like, what are you doing, Tom?
Yeah,
like, what is happening? I think you liked the movie more than I did, though.
I think the only reason to watch the movie is because of Tom Hardy and like
I would say check it out and then kind of because his performance is something.
It's ridiculous.
That restaurant scene.
Yeah, where he goes after the lobster.
I was like, wow. Okay, like he's going places.
Yeah, he went for it in that one.
I was not crazy about his performance in Venom. I did like his interaction with the symbiote. I thought it was kind of charming.
I mean, that's one of the only positives I would say about that movie is the fact that like him and Venom have very good chemistry.
Oh wait, so you don't like the movie?
I'm not really a big fan of it. I was not going to go on my way to watch it.
Okay, I thought you were.
No, I mean also the movie is like barely an hour and a half. Like it's one of the weirdest like.
But Venom's also in it for like no more than like I don't think he's in it for more than 8 minutes.
No, not really.
I think it's like maybe total of like maybe 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
Though, but I will say that the look of it was awesome.
Yeah.
The way that
the way Venom looked.
Yeah, it was more comic booky accurate. His size, the teeth, the tongue. I don't know if you saw this, but what's his name? Todd McFarlane did a really cool sort of sketch of how he would sort of tweak Venom's look just to make it look a little more
accurate.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Oh yeah,
but
so
he was all about it. But it was like, but you know how he talks? He's like, oh yo, like, and he's like doing and writing everything. He's like super animated, and excited, and I'm like, I love this man. but the fact that they kind of stayed more true to the look of the comics, I thought was really was fun. And I just hope that this movie, I hope Andy Serkis can kind of tame Tom down a little bit. Yeah. Just like stop. We'll see, but I'm just hoping for a lot more, I guess, Venom action, but less sort of CG porn, because I think the last battle was a little much.
It's definitely rough.
Yeah.
How much do you put on, Ruben Fleischer, the director of the first one? He did the first Zombieland, and that was probably his only really like well-received movie.
Woody Harrelson again.
It's
a Woody Harrelson show.
Yeah, so it's just a Woody Harrelson show. And if you want to go by the rumor mill, apparently him and Tom Hardy butted heads on set as to what direction.
I feel like there's a lot of rumors about Tom Hardy butting head with people.
Well,
I know it happened on Mad Max.
Yeah, well, he's been known to be somewhat of a difficult actor to work with, but the fact that he was also a producer on Venom, I think he had a certain vision for the character, and Ruben had a different version, idea for what the character should be. So you can kind of see it in the movie, especially since it's like under 90 minutes. They cut a ton of stuff out.
And again, maybe he likes to go places.
He likes to
do certain things.
Well, I think Tom Hardy's really excited about having Andy Serkis working on this because he's been posting tons of stuff.
I mean, come on,
but he's been posting like pictures of him. Like when Tom Hardy was the one that announced that Serkis was the director. He was the first person to announce it, and since then he's been posting pictures of him on set. They're laughing, have a good time. So I feel like that this is going to be a really nice collaboration, and I'm really excited to see where they take this.
Yeah, and again, Tom Hardy's just I don't have anything against the dude. Like I love his movies, but again, I always just feel like he, aside from Nolan, he just really hasn't had that like really good director to kind of, even in The Revenant too. He was just clenching.
Oh no, see, I totally disagree. I think The Revenant is probably one of his best performances.
You told me this before,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's anything different than he's done before. That's what I'm saying.
It's not, but I feel like that's one movie where it actually works.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah,
I'll give you that one.
Also, have you seen The Drop with him and James Gandolfini?
No, I haven't.
Phenomenal movie.
Okay, maybe I'll check that.
The Drop is highly underrated. I think he's in it. He plays a New Yorker, does another accent, but I feel like it fits more with the character and how that story plays out. It's a slow burn, but it's like a crime thriller, and it's one of the late great James Gandolfini's last roles.
R.I.P.
But just phenomenal. Definitely check
I'm
it
such
out.
an asshole because I brought up Tony Soprano before and I didn't say R.I.P. That's why I have you here, bro.
Yeah,
you balanced me out. You balanced me out.
Man.
All right, but yes, back on. Stay on target.
On Venom.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see what Andy Serkis can bring out of him.
Yeah.
And I'm also really rooting for Andy Serkis because, like, you just cannot help but to love that man.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Jungle Book didn't really go the way he wanted it to. I'll be honest, I wasn't crazy about the movie either. But
it was definitely, it didn't lack ambition though.
No, it didn't. And I just think it was also, I really wonder just how different it would be if Favreau's Jungle Book hadn't come out like maybe 2 or 3 years before, because at that point you're just watching a movie and you're pretty much telling yourself someone already did this not too long ago and did it way better.
Right.
So it's just kind of like a unfortunate like.
And you also wonder how much his version changed after Favreau's version came out.
Of course.
Obviously he was always going for the more darker route with the story, but I am curious to see, like, because it did get delayed a while.
A long time.
Like, I think 3 years.
Yeah.
And for Venom 2, which is a little interesting, it comes out this year, October 2nd, and they're still filming. So I wonder if, like, filming is, like, just about to wrap.
I feel like it is about to wrap because some of those pictures I got, like, we're wrapping up vibes.
Right.
There's the one picture Tom Hardy posted when, like, Andy Serkis is, like, smiling.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like that's a wrap photo.
Right.
So I would imagine so. And also, something that's kind of crazy is Batman is filming.
Yes.
So, I mean, as a director, you have a movie coming out in... You got all this post-production to do. It's going to be a lot of effects, obviously, a lot of CG.
Right.
I really hope it does. I'm sure, they're professionals. I'm sure they have it figured out in regards to the schedule and how they're going to make it work. But it does worry me a little bit.
Yeah.
It does because, again, I want him to succeed. Like, I want Andy Serkis to succeed, and I just don't want... Because you know how a lot of times when something bad happens or, like, a movie goes sour and then all these articles start coming out about how pretty much blaming everyone and pointing fingers as to why it failed. You know, like, the last thing I want is for this movie to possibly fail and then all these articles coming out like, oh, he got tangled up in the Batman, so he couldn't properly post-production it and shit like that.
Well, so for those of you that don't know, Andy Serkis is cast as Alfred Pennyworth in The Batman.
Probably my favorite casting.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But here's what I would say about that. I would think that Andy Serkis' work on The Batman is no more than 3 weeks at most.
I 100% agree with you.
He can go in late summer and shoot all of his stuff and be done with it. Also with the shooting of Venom, I would bank because the release date is so close that they've already put together like a rough cut editing wise, and that there are already people working on the CG. So if like, let's say like if they were to wrap on Friday, right? On March 1st, they go right into post-production. They got 6 months to really get it together.
That's why I said I feel like they got their shit figured out. You know, they're professionals. This is nobody's first time in the ringer. You know, everyone knows pretty much what they're doing, and obviously Serkis just has tons of experience with CG. You know, in terms of like what he did for his why am I drawing a blank on the term?
Motion capture?
Thank you. Well, everything's pretty much done with motion capture, pretty much everything that he's done, again, with the Jungle Book and everything. So he knows how to handle he's been part of a lengthy post-production process before, many times. So, yeah, like I have faith that everything is figured out. You're obviously not going to cast him as Alfred Pennyworth if you have that worry in the back of your mind. So yeah, like I'm sure everything's figured out, but I am a little worried because I just want this. I want Venom 2 to be good.
Yeah.
And I'm just really rooting for the guy.
You know, it's like you said, he's a professional. I think he knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't have taken the Batman role had he known it was really going to be a detriment to his film Venom 2. Mm-hmm. You know, so but yeah, super excited for it. Can't wait to see Woody Harrelson and Tom Hardy square off with whatever weird accent Tom Hardy's going to be doing.
And to see what Cletus Cassidy's going to be snacking on.
Yeah.
Because Woody Harrelson's always got the munchies, and there's always a reason. There's a reason why he's always got the munchies. The guy loves the green.
Oh, yeah.
All right, what's next, my guy?
So, this is going to be one of your favorites. The next Jurassic World movie gets the subtitle Dominion as production is underway on the third film. Both Chris Pratt and director Colin Trevorrow posted to social media announcing the start of production. Along with Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, original Jurassic Park actors Jeff Goldblum, Laura Dern, and Sam Neill are returning to their respective roles. Jurassic Park Dominion opens June 11th, 2021.
Well, we got John Hammond here to join us for this episode.
Funko John
Hammond, the great late John Hammond, owner of Engine. I'm excited, but the shoot is a little strange. It's 100 days.
Which is interesting. Yeah,
feels short, right?
Chris Pratt posted on his Instagram, day 1 of 100.
That's what, like 3 months?
It's 3 months and 10 days.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, especially since this is such a really big movie. Unless it's 100 days just for him.
Oh, actually, that's a good point.
You know,
because the picture is on the Jurassic World Instagram and it says day 1 of 100, but it doesn't really specify who it's for.
Doesn't specify. And Colin Trevorrow posted the same exact picture and just said day 1. Didn't give like a 1 of 100 or anything like that. So it could just be that he's on set for 100 days. That
makes a lot more sense.
Right, because there's obviously going to be, because we have these original stars returning, there's going to be scenes where he's just not in.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense actually. Yeah. But I'm super. I'm going to give another shout out to what?
No, I was going to say that I'm cautiously optimistic for this third movie because I downright did not like the second movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm really I think Colin Trevorrow's writing skills are a little suspect. So I'm a little nervous.
Did he write the first one?
He wrote the first one, and I think he was part of the script for the second one.
I really like the first one, but it's more for personal reasons.
Right.
You know, I came over to the United States when I was little, and that was like one of the first movies I saw, and I didn't speak English. I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I didn't know what people were saying, but I understood dinosaurs. And I'm like, is this real? Is this real? What am I watching? And I'm like, I didn't see this in Peru. The only dinosaur I saw was the Megazord, with Jason Scott's Megazord in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was awesome. He had a dragon also at one point. But I was just blown away by I think I always talk about, or I always feel how movies are essentially magic. It's like magical experience. You go and you kind of just get lost in this experience, and you kind of just are transported to another world for maybe 90 to whatever minutes. And I'm never gonna forget that feeling of just watching that movie, just being completely blown away, completely in awe. I wanted to be like a paleontologist for the longest time after that.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to be the...
You wanted to be Dr. Alan Grant.
I wanted to be the next Alan Grant. Not Ian Malcolm, because he was like a...
He's a little weird for you?
A little weird out there, but I wanted to be Dr. Alan Grant with my Ellie Sattler out there fucking shit up, putting in work. But yeah, the music, everything about that movie just really just owned me. And I remember watching Jurassic World, and I was like, oh my god, I feel like I'm like a little kid again.
Yeah.
Just like fresh off the boat, watching this movie. So I do have this sort of just personal connection with the first one. I agree with you that what's Fallen Kingdom?
Fallen Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hate it, but again, I think that's just my personal bias. I thought some of the stuff was interesting in regards to pretty much the auctioning and how they kind of went that route of pretty much auctioning off these dinosaurs. But it's just...
I think it has good ideas. But
it has good ideas.
There's so much dumb shit.
And not just that, but there's a lot of shit that just keeps getting it's so repetitive.
Yeah, it is very repetitive.
Like constantly, let's engineer more dinosaurs and let's make it bigger and scarier.
Right.
No,
When are you gonna? Can we not do the same bullshit over again?
Yeah, and now there's actually reports, like real life world reports, talking about how it's possible we can have dinosaurs within 5 years. No, there's literally 5 movies on why it's a bad idea. Stop, Yes, I will go to the park if you open a dinosaur. Yes, I will be there. I will spend all my money. I don't care. But don't do it.
Well, I mean, it's no different. I mean, I don't want to get off topic, but it's no different than all these people that are creating these robots that can do all this crazy shit. It's like, have we not watched Terminator? Have we not watched every sci-fi movie in the last 30 years that said, do not do this?
But yeah, pretty much within 10 years, we're going to be running for our lives from robots and dinosaurs at this rate. But, again, I know we get off topic a lot. I apologize. But yeah, Fallen Kingdom, I did like how it essentially opened up this new sort of world of humans now essentially living with dinosaurs. And I think the little short that they released not too long ago was so smart.
It was.
For the people who didn't see it, I'm not sure who...
It was released on FX. FX dropped it because it premiered on FX. Like, they actually showed it on TV and then they put it online after.
Right, and I think there was a lot of pretty much sour taste in people's mouths after Fallen Kingdom, which rightfully so. But they did such a good job with that short because it made you kind of, or at least personally me, it made me kind of now want to see more of what's going on in this new world of humans and dinosaurs interacting. Like, you're essentially... for the people who haven't seen it, it's about a family who are camping, and then they get a surprise from a dinosaur. You know, like in the normal world, it might be a bear, which is still terrifying.
Right.
If you have not seen Backcountry, watch Backcountry. That movie's fucking terrifying. It might be a bear. It might be like a raccoon. Who knows? But in this new world, it's a dinosaur. And then they did like the little credits where it showed everyday normal interactions of people interacting, like, not necessarily interacting with dinosaurs, but like
dinosaurs invading the normal day
life.
There's
hilarious videos out there of like kids running away from turkeys.
Yeah.
Like, they're just terrified running away from turkeys, and it's hilarious. And then I believe one of the little things was like a girl running away from like the compies, the little small comptosaurs.
Yep. They're chasing after her.
Right. So I thought that sort of little short was so smart because it made people excited. Like, okay, like, I know you weren't too thrilled about Fallen Kingdom, but look, like, let's get you a little excited, and maybe this will kind of put you back on the sort of Jurassic World bandwagon again.
Right.
And like you said in the notes, I think Dominion is an interesting title because I'll let you go talk about that because I think you put it you like worded it better than I did.
So when Chris Pratt posted, and giving the subtitle Dominion, he also posted the definition. So Dominion is defined as sovereignty or control, and it's man's attempt to establish dominion over nature,
right.
Which is obviously, the dinosaurs represent nature, and we're trying to take back control again. But it was really like, I actually, like, for as much as I don't like Fallen Kingdom, I like its ideas, and I like how it ends, because how it ends is, spoiler alert, the dinosaurs get set free out into the real world. That is what this new trilogy should have all been about. It should, like, it's called Jurassic World. It just took so we got to the third and possibly final movie to be Jurassic World. Mm-hmm. I thought the first movie should have ended with these things getting out into the world and it being...
I 100% agree with you. Like, I thought the one kind of fresh take of the first one was that, like, now the park is up and running.
Right.
Like, the whole time in the original trilogy, like, it was like we're trying to launch this park. It failed, and we just kept essentially going back to a failed park. And now it was a kind of like a nice take on it where now the park's actually up and running, it's working, and it's exciting to see how it functions. Like, you do have this sort of, it's kind of SeaWorld vibe, but with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And I also did like the take on it of how essentially they're trying to make a scarier, more I don't know how to really put this, but a more like attractive monster.
Right.
Because nowadays kids, they don't really care.
They don't care anymore.
Yeah, they're on their phone the whole time.
Right.
You know, and I remember seeing the concept art. There was a really cool picture of the concept art when it was essentially the T-Rex exhibit pretty much, and there's a kid leaning up against the glass, not looking at it on his phone.
Right.
And that notion kind of mixing the real world sort of point of views of people and kids nowadays with a possibly working dinosaur park was interesting.
Right.
So, and it was fun to see.
Yeah.
But again, then I agree with you that it could have, if it just pretty much ended with
somehow then,
right, and then the sequel being kind of like, okay, sort of like, I don't want to say the battle, but maybe the struggle between, you know, human and dinosaurs living together, and then the conclusion of like, okay, who's essentially going to come out on top.
Right.
I thought it would have definitely been more successful.
Which is why I think if this trilogy followed the pattern of the Apes movies, I think it would have been a little bit more successful in that endeavor, because you know, Rise, you had the outbreak in like our normal world, and then the second movie was kind of like after 10 years later,
right?
And it's starting to go into the apocalypse, and then War was like we're fully into this like apocalyptic world,
right?
now.
Which I think the fast forward in time was probably what was so successful about it, because then like you're not wasting any time,
right?
Like, it's
you
like
just get right into it,
and then boom, and it works.
Yep.
And I think that's a really great point. And I think if they did something like that with, I mean, in hindsight, it's always different to look back at it and what they could have done.
What you could have done better.
But if for some reason they kind of had someone like that on board who could have probably steered the ship in that direction, I think it could have been a completely different story.
Right. But even still, like, I am excited for this. And the hook of it is the fact that all the original actors are coming back.
I'm excited to see fucking dinosaurs, man.
I'm just excited that I get to see Ian Malcolm again. I get to see,
of course.
I get to see all these guys come back. And Chris Pratt recently went on, I think he was on like Ellen maybe, and he was talking about that they were about to start shooting, and he compared this, that this is like the Avengers Endgame of like the Jurassic Park franchise. So you have all these people coming back. So far, the cast list has a lot of returning members from the very first Jurassic World, and then the actor that played Little Timmy in the first movie,
who has actually been in a lot of shit that I didn't realize.
Social Network, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, and I was just like, I remember, I don't know why, but I just looked him up probably because of Jurassic Park. And I was just thinking to myself, what has that dude been up to? And then I realized, like, oh my god, he's actually been
a ton of stuff
working.
Yeah. But he's rumored that he's coming back now. He's kind of like teasing it a little bit that he's going to be back in this one. So I feel like they're just kind of gathering up all these actors from, you know, whatever surviving actors are left from this franchise, and they're all going to be in this movie, and they're going to conclude the franchise, and hopefully it's good.
Hopefully it's good,
man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for it. I'm definitely gonna be there opening weekend. I love dinosaurs. I love seeing people eat dinosaurs, and I'm just I just want this movie to go out on a good note, because unfortunately it kind of hurt me to see the last two get shitted on by so many people. But that's just me. And on to the next subject.
So now we're going to talk about our boy Batfleck. So Ben Affleck is currently doing the rounds for The Way Back. He was all over ESPN. He did a ton of press, went on like Good Morning America and like all this other kind of stuff. But the most interesting thing was the New York Times did an article on him. They did like an interview.
Very personal.
Very personal. He talked about his alcoholism, his divorce with Jennifer Garner, just everything.
Who is jacked now.
Yeah.
Bro, what was that? The Oscars?
It was the Oscars. She
Dude,
came
her
out.
traps were like bigger than Tom Hardy's in Warrior. Like, no joke. Like, she can.
Her shoulders were bulging.
Bro,
nice
she put her in the
definition.
UFC cage. I want to see her fight Valentina. Like, let's get that going. But keep going, bro.
But yeah, so in it, one of the interesting things was he talked about when he was originally slated to direct the Batman and his script. And at the time when he dropped out, the PR answer he was giving was that he just couldn't crack the script. Him and Jeff Johns couldn't crack the script, which to me was total bullshit.
It was so stupid.
Saw right through it, especially since a couple people had apparently read the script and said it was one of the best Batman stories they had ever read.
And it also puts a bad take on it, because then it's like, all right, so who's not really getting along?
Right.
You know, like, is Ben Affleck's vision kind of conflicting with Jeff Johns' vision?
Well, according to what Affleck said, so Affleck got interviewed when he was doing press for, they had a big press junket for The Way Back, and he just you can ask me any question.
No, I'm talking about in terms of that story that was being thrown out, about how they couldn't crack the script.
I think that, well, Oh, you're talking about just
that,
like,
that was just a PR thing, obviously.
Right.
But I'm talking about like when you put something that out, which is clearly not the case, then it starts all this other.
it starts
shit.
all these rumors about
Right,
you know
about,
where
like,
him not getting
right.
along,
So then like if
visions.
they're not getting along, they're butting heads. Who
a
are
good
you going
point.
to trust? Obviously the fucking Oscar winner.
Right.
Like I'm sorry, Jeff Johns, you're a great comic book writer, but I'm
Right.
going to take the Oscar winner.
Right.
And then again, then why aren't they going with the Oscar winner? Like it just adds so much more fuel to the fire when you kind of put that kind of stuff out.
Right. But what I think what this article did though was it really shed a light on how much of a mess Justice League was, because apparently, I mean, I don't want to really go into all of it.
Actually, a little to go back.
What are we going back to?
Oh my god! But to go back to our last episode about, I saw that fucking movie in theater 3 times.
What, Justice League?
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Dude, I saw it once and I was like, nah, I'm done.
It was
but
not.
apparently Affleck's experience on Justice League was not the best, especially since he had to come back and practically reshoot the entire movie with a different director.
3 times.
Yeah.
Reportedly 3 times. He got shot over, which is insane.
So he said that one of the biggest quotes from this New York Times article was that he said, I showed somebody the Batman script, Affleck recalled. They said, I think the script is good. I also think you'll drink yourself to death if you go through what you just went through again. Meaning the stuff he went through on Justice League. And then going back to that interview that he had during the press junket, they asked him about the Batman, and he said that he basically lost his passion for it after going through Justice League.
Which makes sense.
He just didn't want to do it anymore. You know, and I think, which is, to me, like that's like the biggest crime I think that movie committed was just the fact that it burned Ben Affleck out of wanting to play Batman, which is a character that he grew up loving, is such a huge fan of. I mean, if you've seen Kevin Smith do interviews about it, he talked about how in his first house, he basically had like a secret like door that went to like his bat cave and everything.
Kevin Smith even said something at one point about how they were filming. I can't remember what movie it was, but Ben Affleck was off to the side of the set reading Dark Knight Returns.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so it's definitely a shame that this had to happen because shame. Because for as much as I love Batman vs Superman, I love his performance in it. I think it's one of my favorite performances in a superhero film is him as Bruce Wayne. I know a lot of people are a little iffy on like, should Batman kill? Should he do this? Should he do that? But I loved the darker take of a broken Batman and how he was basically pushed to like this, you know, past the brink, past his morals, past everything. And I was really excited to see him because I knew as soon as he got cast that it's like, all right, this guy's going to direct the Batman. He's going to direct his own solo version of it. And when it panned out that it was going to be him versus Deathstroke, I was all about it. I was super pumped, so much potential and what it could be. And just the fact that
they were all about it. They were moving
all about
that
it.
footage with Deathstroke.
Yeah.
I remember that
and Affleck
shit.
was the one that posted it too.
They were moving forward. They were so ready to go. But you know, shit happens.
Yeah,
and
man. You know, and you know, I'm not super happy that Matt Reeves is doing this. Love Matt Reeves as director. Super happy that Pattinson is Batman. You know, but I'm always going to wonder what could have been. But going back to Justice League, Affleck did double down on his support for the Snyder Cut. So showing that he really did like Zack Snyder and he did buy into his vision. For those of you that don't know, for a little bit of context, I think this was October, right? Where was that?
What are we talking about right now?
That random ass Sunday where I'm like, dude, go on Twitter and look at all these people saying release the Snyder Cut. And we were kind of following it all day, and then eventually like Gal Gadot dropped or released the Snyder Cut post, and then all of a sudden Ben Affleck threw his hat in the ring, and suddenly it's like, is this actually?
I also think
happen?
that a kid named Nick also threw out his support for it too.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
Shit.
The guy's an asshole, but I like this tweet regardless.
I mean, I think I like him.
He's all right.
You know, but they asked him about it, you know, about that day, and he commented, he's like, he didn't even know that there was a movement on releasing Zack's cut.
Right, because I remember his tweet was just so like,
release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I'm like some there was like so much context to like other people's tweets, and his was just like release the Snyder Cut.
That was it.
It was like, yeah, like what's
and
happening?
People lost their fucking minds.
He's like, what's happening? Oh, okay, cool.
But he talked about it. He goes, I didn't know about it. Zach was like, hey, they're doing this thing. And I said, Zach, I love you and I support you however I can help you. I do think that the movie, you know, having two directors is a very weird thing. And for Justice League, the director had a family tragedy, and so you have a kind of cow's body with a horse's head with two directors. A lot of times, for better or worse, that's what happens. But I do think Zack's cut should be available.
I mean, again, we might go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but it's really fucked up. I mean, the way they treated Zack Snyder was really messed up. I do not like Batman vs Superman.
Regardless of what you think of Zack Snyder, Like
the way they essentially used his family tragedy to essentially cover up the fact that he'd been fired.
Yes.
Is so messed up. And not just that, but the way, like, I remember seeing an interview with Chuck Roven, and he was just talking about, like, oh yeah, he had to step aside because of his family tragedy. It's just like, it's so messed up.
It's dirty.
Yeah,
it's
like
really
you're
dirty.
using this story, like using this as pretty much your reasoning for letting him go.
Right.
It's fucked up. But regardless, I may have said this once or twice, but I'm not the biggest fan of Batman vs Superman. But I do believe in essentially artists seeing their visions through. Like, I'm sure he dedicated so much time and effort into this film. Like, yeah, release it, whether it's going to be on a streaming platform or whatever. If it's gonna get like a limited run on theaters, I will go see it. I will go watch it, and it might be great. It might not be. I mean, granted, he's had so much more time now to kind of like. You can't add more to it because
you can't do your reshoots, you can't
exactly.
do anything, yeah.
But you can literally fine tune everything to an extent.
And which is weird too, because he obviously has access to it, because he's posted pictures of it on Vero.
No, it's done.
So he's I'm not questioning that's not done, but it's just the fact that like usually like that belongs to Warner Brothers. So I'm surprised that he still has like the cut in his possession.
Yeah, and I think it was something like 214 minutes, if I don't know, it's something like that,
that's
right?
a beast.
It is a beast, and I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting is just that there's been a bunch of kind of like we constantly say in this sort of day and age of all this sort of like nerd material that comes out. There's been a bunch of projects that have essentially lost a director. Fantastic Four lost Josh Trank, Han Solo lost Lauren Miller, obviously. Star Wars, like, you know,
it also feels like it's been happening. Like this is like a new thing,
right? It happens a lot with Star Wars, which is kind of oh my god. Yeah. But it's the support for Snyder is insane. Like no one's out here saying release a Trank cut of Fantastic Four. You know, no one.
Or like the David Ayer cut for Suicide Squad.
Thank you.
Know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah. Even though he constantly says that that's his cut, I don't buy it at all.
I think he's off of that now.
All right. Well, yeah. But yeah, the support for Snyder is crazy. It's like insane. Not to the point where I was at Comic-Con last year, I believe, and there were digital billboards on the building outside the Javits Center with this sort of like little reel and this sort of this like animation that someone did of like with the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. It's pretty much like a silhouette of the Justice League. All the stuff going on. There's kind of like there's quotes, there's some clips, and then there's the hashtag release. The fact that people are going out, like, that shit is not cheap.
No,
that's
it's
fucking
not.
Expensive.
Which what I'll say about it is that the whole Snyder's whole fan base has a bit of a mixture. There's a lot of people pull the negative from it because there's a lot of toxic fandom where they attack a lot of like things that aren't his. Like they do not like where DC's going. They hate the new Batman, like all this other stuff. But there's also the people that really love Snyder, but also, you know, are embracing where things have been going. And those people are the ones that have been doing the stuff with the banners, and they've raised that money through like GoFundMe.
Right.
And what they're doing is half of it is going towards promotion for the Snyder Cut, and the other half is going to suicide prevention. So it's like they're trying to, you know, have some goodwill behind it, because for Zack Snyder, obviously he lost his daughter to suicide. So that's kind of like an honor to him, you know, showing support for suicide.
That's what I'm saying. Like the support is insane.
Yeah.
Like it's just what I'm just saying is like the fact that we don't really have that support for like anything else is just kind of wild.
Right.
That people really
and
just
that kind of love for a director like that, you know.
Right, and it's also like you said, it's also toxic because like again, you say one bad thing about it and people just go nuts. Like we're in a day and age now where everyone's pretty much connected.
Right. Well, I would also say
someone called me a pussy the other day because
someone called you a pussy.
Yeah, you can ask Josh. I put me in such a bad mood, but I kept my shit together.
Wait, was this in Peru?
It was in Peru. Yeah, I was just arguing with someone online because they were like shitting on stuff, and I'm like, bro, like you know, like, gotta be better. Like you have a big, it's a big follower on. He has a big platform, so I'm like, yeah, if you do this kind of shit, you're gonna keep this toxicity alive. You know, like, let's try to be better. You know, like respect everyone's opinion. Like let's try to have this whole conversation. And like 2 seconds later, somebody just wrote, "Shut up, pussy," and I'm like, I just ignored it, and I'm like,
but you wanted to go nuts.
I wanted to go nuts, but I just can't fall into it.
You can't fall into it.
And you know, if one of our 7 viewers like writes something nasty again, like, you know, I gotta be like, cool, that's fine, right? You know, but like you just
like, yo, fucking nerds, you guys suck,
right? Yeah, but that's your opinion, you know. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, though.
Yeah, you still gave us those $10 on
Right.
Anchor. Speaking of which, no, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do it. We're gonna do it later.
We'll do it later. That'll be the break for the sponsor.
Yeah. But yes, if the Snyder Cut does get, we again go off topic like crazy, but this originally started off as a Ben Affleck conversation and went into release Snyder Cut. If it does come out, I hope it comes out, because let this artist, this is not a small movie, you know, and like you said, he has it, so I'm sure that he's been fine-tuning the effects, or maybe like editing a little bit here and there. There's only so much he can do, but I'm sure by now it's probably like as good as he wants to be. And just me being a fan in general, like, yeah, I want to see it. You know, like, I did not like Justice League. I did not, whoever's to blame, we're not gonna get into that. I did not like BVS. And Zack Snyder does struggle with story. He's a good visual and action director, but he does struggle with story. But it doesn't mean that, like, I'm just going to essentially take all that negativity and be like, I don't want to see this, or like, you know, go fuck yourself, release Snyder Cut. You know, like, I will go see it. I will support it. I will pay to see it, and you know, I'll make up my mind from there. Right. And I do want, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe 10 years from now it'll get released. But I do hope that there can be some sort of deal, or something can happen where we can eventually see it, because I really want to see it. I want to see what could have been, you know?
I agree with you 100%. The only points I'll say to this, and I'm going to go back to Affleck real quick, is that a possibility for the Snyder Cut to be released is on WB's streaming service, HBO Max. They could always go there to kind of like, hey, snag some extra subscribers, release it there. Or we're looking at Richard Donner's situation when the Superman 2, when, you know, famously he left Superman 2 and they brought another director who filmed a bunch of shit, and, you know, that Superman 2 kind of was a bit of a Frankenstein monster situation, and like 30 years later Donner's cut finally came out and it was revealed as the preferred version of that film. Right. So it could be something like that. But going back to Affleck, you know, even though it is a bummer that he's not going to be in the Batman, still super happy. It seems like he's got his life together. You know, he's looking healthy. He's looking good.
And you're excited for this movie, aren't you?
I'm fucking
I can tell you're pumped for this movie. I can feel it.
I mean, I'm a huge Gavin O'Connor fan. And I think with this, like, I know you weren't too crazy about The Accountant, but I liked how him and Affleck worked.
I wasn't crazy about the ending.
Yeah, but in terms of the movie
general,
itself,
it's a solid movie. Yeah.
But Gavin O'Connor works very well in the sports genre. You know,
he's batting 100 right now. He's
2 for 2. You know, he's did Miracle, and then he's also done Warrior,
which is fantastic.
Warrior's probably like top. It's top. It's one of the best sports movie films ever made.
And as an older brother, it just hits you that much harder.
It hits you so hard.
Yeah, it does.
100%. Sure. But yeah, for The Way Back is like one of my most anticipated for the spring. Like, I'm super pumped for it.
It's like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, March 6th.
Yeah.
March 6th, so I can't wait. And it seems, obviously, it's super personal for Affleck, since the character that he's playing is an alcoholic. So I'm really interested to see how they handle that. But yeah, I can't wait.
And it's got a very talented sports alumni in Shiva Kamini. She was in The League. Oh, and now she's in this.
League reference.
Which, by the way, what's her name? Janina Gavankar. What's her name? Janina Gavankar? Or I'm drawing a blank on her name. She is a fucking smoke. Yeah. I met her about 2 years ago because she voiced the character in Battlefront.
Oh, that's right.
And so I went to a Battlefront expose or whatever for the game. And she was there, and like, she was so cool, she was so funny, and like, she was just so hot in general. Right. But her like personality
just made her that much better.
Hot.
Yep.
Like, we were joking about Cheetos and like
it's like, can I marry you?
Yeah, right. Like, is anyone watching? I'm just like gonna just like grab you and run away. But yes, I am excited for The Way Back. Gavin O'Connor does really well in this sort of field. He's already proven it with 2 other movies. And if he knocks this one out of the park, then he's
3 for 3, man.
He's 3 for 3, and arguably could be the best sports director of all time. We'll see. But I'm happy for Ben Affleck. I'm happy that I'm sad that we're never going to see his take on the Batman.
You know, hopefully maybe we'll get a glimpse of him if the Snyder Cut ever gets released. We see like what the original,
what could have
his
been.
Original Batman was. You know, so.
But like, I'm glad that he's kind of got his life in order, and good for him.
Yeah.
And he's won 2 Oscars. He's obviously talented. The dude knows Hollywood, and we're gonna be there for. Essentially, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that we're gonna be there for almost any project that he's, or at least it's gonna pique our interest.
I mean, especially when he comes to directing, because like his directing credits are. I mean, other than Live by Night,
right?
He had,
I was right about to say that, but also he had the one movie Netflix that got trashed.
That wasn't his though. I mean, he's in it, but
right. No, but I'm talking because he has 4 movies coming out this year.
Yes.
So right now he's off to a bad start with the Netflix.
Which is weird though, because that movie, it's called I think The Last Thing He Wanted is the movie's called.
Something like that. It has like Anne Hathaway in it.
But it's Dee Rees who directed it, and she's a critically, I mean, she did Mudbound, and like, so she's a really good director. So he picked a project with a great director. Apparently the story they adapted was deemed unadaptable, and I think Dee Rees kind of hit a snag with that.
Sometimes it doesn't always work out.
Doesn't always work out.
But you gotta get over Dee Rees, get over that hump, move forward. You got this, and that goes for Ben and for everyone else.
So to conclude episode 3, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Batman.
The Batman, a little independent character that not many people have heard of.
Nah, nobody knows who the Batman is.
Kind of blowing up recently. You and I have been kind of praising him for a long time, and now people are
finally starting to catch on.
Like when you listen to like a smaller band and then you're like, you're telling everyone, oh my god, this band's so good, and then like no one listens to you,
right?
And then the band blows up, and everyone's like, oh my god, did you hear that band? And you're like, bitch, I've been fucking telling you since day one.
I listened to them before they were cool.
Exactly, and I've been telling people about Batman since like day one, and now that he's blowing up, everyone's like trying to jump on it, like it's bullshit.
Get off his dick.
Right. But go ahead, my guy.
So more set photos came out as filming is underway in London, showing kind of the Batsuit in full. Currently, it looks like they're doing a lot of stunt work. So Robert Pattinson is not currently pictured in the Batsuit, but it's a lot of stunt guys that are doing a bit of stuff with, Batman's new motorcycle, which is very interesting, and we'll kind of talk about that look as well. And then another cool set photo shows this movie takes place during Halloween. So that's basically confirms our speculation that this is going to be at least in part inspired by the Long Halloween. So going off of it though, let's talk about the suit, because I think a lot of people look at this and this happens with every single superhero movie, and nobody seems to just get on board to say, look, this is not what it's going to look like. If you've ever seen set photos of people in their suits, it always looks like shit. And I don't even think this looks like shit.
For the most part.
A little bit, but,
for the most part, yeah.
You look at stuff like Black Panther when they were filming Civil War, or even for Spider-Man when they were doing Homecoming. The suit looks terrible. It's like really bad cosplay. Mm-hmm. But when it's done, when you get the CG touch-ups, when you actually put the actor in the suit and everything is lit, cinematography's right, it all changes. It all comes together. So if anybody is nervous about this, do not be nervous. Let's wait till the first trailer. Let's wait till the first image. Martin, I know you're a little nervous.
No, I'm not.
You're a little nervous
I'm
about it.
I'm not nervous at all, no. I'm just like, you're so smooth, bro. I'm just like, I'm falling asleep to listen to you talking, man. I'm just going to listen to that next time you take her to sleep. And
a little bit of smooth jazz.
There you go, my guy. No, I'm not nervous at all.
All right. So tell me, what did you think? What do you think of the look?
I love it.
Okay.
I do love it. And I think it's very reminiscent of a lot of stuff. And I wrote it down because, I like to be prepared sometimes. Mm-hmm. And not all of this is coming directly from my head. This is just stuff that other people brought up to me. Like, I have a lot of... I do have some friends, and they talk to me sometimes. And a couple of them pointed out some good stuff. So pretty much what I'm going through is some stuff that I kind of noticed that was also brought up to me. Of just how kind of the costume is kind of paying homage to a whole bunch of stuff. We already went over before about how it's very reminiscent to the Arkham Knight look.
Yep.
So there's just some other little sprinkles of flavor that we're going to throw on here. For starters, the sort of kind of...
It's like the linebacker pad,
the linebacker
right?
pad,
yeah.
Thank you. Is very reminiscent to Gotham by Gaslight by Brian Augustin and Mike Mignola. That... Gotham by Gaslight is essentially an Elseworld story that takes place with, I believe it's in London, I think.
Yes, during the Jack the Ripper
Jack the
time.
Ripper, yeah, and Batman is essentially hunting down Jack the Ripper.
It's an awesome story.
It's a great story,
awesome
and they did an animated film not too long ago, which was also really great. And it has that sort of like, I'm just going to keep calling it the linebacker pad, but it kind of wraps around a little bit more, kind of like almost like a flap, like a Dracula flap, but not so intense.
Like
kind
prominent,
of,
yeah.
Right, it comes out. The sort of abdomen kind of look is very reminiscent to the abdomen look in Batman Noel, which is pretty much this sort of. It's like, I would say it's like a mixture of Batman Noel, the mixture of like the Tim Burton suit, which kind of like these sort of like kind of like a stack line.
Yeah.
But this one, it's more of like the shape, kind of like more of a triangular angle on it.
Right.
The guards on the arm is straight out of Court of Owls,
Which
gets me
excited.
That's the first thing I noticed actually.
Yeah.
Like the hood.
Yes.
With and then it's got the stuff on the arms.
Well, if I could jump in real quick.
No, of course.
They're as the days go by, more and more set photos seem to be coming out. They got a close up of that, and it is arrows.
It is arrows.
It's arrows. It's individual arrows.
Which is interesting.
Well, I'm also curious because, like, I think eventually you're going to talk about how there is a little bit of inspiration from Zero Year, Batman Zero Year.
I never read Zero Year.
Okay, I never did either, but I know that this takes a look from it, and in it he has a crossbow. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if before he creates batarangs, he uses a crossbow.
That was actually my next thing that I was gonna get into. But just to kind of give respects, Batman Noel is by Lee Bermejo. The Court of Owls is by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Scott Snyder has no relationship to Zack Snyder, just FYI. And then the next thing that I was going to go to is from Zero Year, from, again, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, which is essentially the belt and those kind of like thigh straps, so to speak. So
it's like a more like military look, kind of.
Exactly, more like SWAT, more what's the word I'm looking for? More not fuck, but I can't. It's not coming to mind. But kind of like a more SWAT and.
I guess not so much military, maybe more. Well, I think SWAT is kind of
but there's a word I'm looking for that is not coming to mind.
What is the word?
My brain does not want to work right now. Fucking asshole.
Well, because you mentioned Zero Year, I think the bike also kind of takes inspiration from that too, right? The motorcycle he's driving.
I didn't really think of that, but. What I do like the bike. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, but what I like about the bike is that it has like a vintage look.
Yeah,
it almost feels like, I don't know what I was trying to find before. I was trying to find the image of where exactly this is from, but there is an old Batmobile that was featured in. Where essentially, it's like a regular car, and then just has like the Batman kind of like face silhouette on it, like in the front.
Right.
And it reminded me of that. It has like a very old kind of like vintage look, and I just like that we're getting that it looks like a bat.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like a nice little touch.
Yeah.
That the fact that they're really kind of playing to that whole Batman aesthetic
without going too like far into like almost like gimmicky territory or like too like cheesy looking. You know, like it feels like that's, and I think that's the thing I like about everything I'm seeing so far is that. Even though Nolan's take was also very grounded, I feel like this like Batsuit feels even more organic. Like it feels
like someone
pieced
made
together.
it.
Yes.
I feel like he made it himself.
Yes.
It's not like it was not manufactured.
Like even the bike too. The bike looks like it's like
custom
it was
made, welded, custom made. Yeah, it feels these set photos and this like it has this very like almost like a throwback, old vintage. Like gritty, gothic, pretty much everything that's been described so far as what the Batman wants to be, as far as what Matt Reeves' Batman wants to be.
Right.
It's translating very well. I don't know if the rain is fake or not. But
it probably is.
But it has a really nice touch of this is kind of cold, wet, dampy. We were talking about Birds of Prey. It didn't feel like Gotham. This feels like Gotham.
This is going to feel like
everything
Gotham.
About this feels like Gotham. And not to mention that we have a relatable Batman because there's a video of him busting his ass on a motorcycle. So it's like, hey,
which is awesome. Which I'm curious if that's the stunt gone wrong or if he's actually supposed to be falling.
No, he busted his ass. I would say because it's like slowing down, so it's almost like cutting and slowing down. But in terms of the actual suit itself, we went a little bit into it before, like I was saying when we talked about how it was reminiscent to Arkham Knight from the camera test,
right? Because
it pretty much just showed the torso and the shoulders, but now we're essentially seeing the full thing,
right?
And it reiterates what we said before. The camera test was done purposely because clearly they knew they were going to be shooting this and they didn't want it to leak.
Right.
Imagine if this was the first image that came out.
It would have been like...
It would have been crazy. It would have been pandemonium.
Yep.
But yeah, they got ahead of it and very smart, very rightfully so that they did that. I know we've been talking about pretty much the eyes.
Yes.
We're still not 100% sure if...
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't really confirm. I don't know if this is just done in the sense for like to protect the stuntman, like, because it looks like the frontal part is a little more reinforced as like a motorcycle helmet.
I think it's more of like a helmet.
Yes, that's what
like,
I'm
I
thinking
think
too.
like the eyes themselves are like a helmet or something that kind
it's
of
like it's goggles for when you
right
ride, when
that
you
comes
ride a bike.
on.
Yeah,
and I don't really think that's the actual look.
and I also don't know if you noticed this too, but it seems like on a lot of the stuntmen, they all have tracking dots on their face.
Yeah, because that's something else that we were going to kind of get, something that I want to slowly kind of get off track, but kind of get back into, because last week we spoke about or last episode I should say, we spoke about the casting, but we didn't speak about Robert Pattinson.
That's very true. We didn't speak about Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, look, when it was announced, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't too thrilled. Not because of Twilight. Like, people who are still bitching about Twilight need to get over it. The dude is talented. I think him and both Kristen Stewart, for that matter, have made really good decisions post Twilight, and have chosen some really good projects. Robert Pattinson has really shown his range over a various selection of films in the past. And
he's worked with some really great directors.
And he's worked with some really great directors. He's really he's worked with Claire Denis. Come on,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah,
come on. And even though I wasn't crazy about, I did not really like High Life, but
High Life definitely was not. I mean, in terms of critical reception, yes, people also did not like it too much. I think it's a very experimental.
Very experimental. Yeah. Very. I know I say this all the time, but very Terrence Malick-y.
Yes.
It's just ooh.
Well, I think Terrence Malick is the king of experimental.
Pretty much, yeah. Same thing with Lighthouse. We were not crazy about Lighthouse, but the dude did a good job, even though we couldn't really figure out what accent he was trying to do.
Yeah.
But he is talented, and I think he's going to be a great Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
I think as far as Bruce Wayne, he's going to do a really good job. I think he's going to play that role really well. Very mysterious, very kind of haunted.
And he could be dark.
He can be very dark.
Be really
and
dark.
He said it many times. I have the quote right here. He wants to be frightening. He wants it to be raw. He wants it to be unhinged. So he's really pushing for that, and I like that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. However, what I'm not too crazy about is him as Batman. I just don't know if physically he can be that kind of imposing kind of presence and sort of intimidating presence. I know that he's been working out, he's been trying to put out weight, but when I look at this set photo, that dude is clearly a lot bigger than Pattinson.
He looks more like Affleck than he does Pattinson.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So, I mean, I don't want to say that Pattinson has put on this much weight. I just don't buy it, because we saw him at a fashion show not too long ago, and the dude was skinny. But yeah, because you mentioned that thing about the tracking dots. It's clearly they're trying to maybe do something, whether it's kind of put his face on there, but the body just clearly does not match.
So now what I'll say to that, and they do this a lot in filming, is that usually when an actor in these roles, and this goes for whether it's male or female, when they have to do roles where they take their shirt off or they're showing skin, a lot of times what they'll do is those scenes are shot at the very last possible point of production.
Oh, so for sure, 100%.
So they're working out constantly throughout production, and it looks like what they're doing now, even though they started shooting, it looks like they're doing a lot of stunt work first. Mm-hmm. So I think as this is going on, Pattinson is training every single day. So I think by the time they're ready to do scenes with him, I mean, I'm sure he'll be in the suit, and they'll probably pad the suit. I think they pad all suits,
of course,
regardless of what they do. But when it's time for him to just be Bruce Wayne when he's in suits or whatever, I think by the time they do that, I think he'll be he'll have muscle on him.
I agree, and I do agree with that. But it's also not really fair, because I think this whole notion of kind of Batman being this sort of imposing figure has just kind of really been the norm recently.
Bale got big for Begins, but when he got to Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, we
always had this conversation. He got big for Dark Knight Rises.
He was 190 pounds for Dark Knight Rises.
Bro, there's a part when he hugs Talia, and his bicep was
yeah.
Like that, he broke. I agree that
he did, but they said his weight was 190 pounds, which is, if that's the 190 pound straight muscle, you're gonna look huge, and I think that's something that Pattinson can achieve. I think it's possible.
Right, but it's I just feel the whole notion of Batman, when you look back at sort of the Silver Age or whatever, or just back in the Adam West season when it was like the bang bang pow. Like I feel like kind of around like the late 80s or sort of early 90s where these sort of much more darker stories were coming out. You know, what Frank Miller was doing, like all those stories essentially almost kind of shifted the character as we see him today.
Right.
As this kind of like dark, scary, sort of brooding figure. And that shift kind of continued in the Burton films. It kind of continued in the animated series, and it's pretty much now how we know him today. Like that's just how the character of Batman is pretty much perceived in the general audience nowadays, as this kind of the whole silly Batman of like, you know, the gray tights, the blue underwear, like that's all gone.
Right.
And it's pretty much of, at least the way I see it, it's pretty much of what happened in those sort of years with the comics, with the films, and it's essentially been translating through films, and it's also not fair to him. Like my criticisms of kind of him being sort of physical presence, also not really fair to him, because we're just now at a point in comic book movies where the actors are essentially working their asses off to match the physical appearance of their counterparts in the comic books. Like if you see what every single Marvel actor has done in terms of gaining weight, and it almost puts that thought in your head of like, okay, if he's going to play a superhero, he has to look like a superhero. Or if she's going to play a superhero, she has to look like a superhero.
Right.
And it's not really fair, but it's just kind of like the day and age that we live nowadays.
Right.
So
you have a certain expectation for what it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly. And Batman, obviously being arguably the most popular and most noticeable superhero, you just can't help but being like, I wanted to like Ben Affleck, I think physically was my favorite Batman. He was tall, dude put on weight, he was huge, and he was that presence.
He was intimidating.
Yeah, like he will break your jaw with one fucking punch, and you can tell, like you know, like you do not want to get hit by that guy. But that's the only sort of question mark that I still have in my head. If he can really pull off that intimidating sort of like fear kind of aspect of Batman.
So the only thing that I'll say to this, before we kind of like start to like wrap it up, you know me, I'm always the optimist.
Always.
But going back to you, for your quote for Dane Cook.
Yes.
What is that quote with the number 4? Say it to me.
All right, number 1 is death. Number 2 is taxes. Number 3 is painful shits.
And number 4.
Number 4 is this movie's going to be incredible.
It is. Yeah. So whatever reservations you have, and I totally get it, and I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's going to be okay.
I think so too.
And I think it's going to be amazing.
I think so too, and I just can't help but to kind of worry about these things a little bit but you're right. There's nothing like this movie is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
This movie is going to be fantastic, and the more set photos I see and the more like little stuff that we're getting, I really like I really like the take on the suit. We now know the color scheme, essentially like all black.
Right. As of now.
For all we know, there could be blue in the cape.
Right.
We don't know, and so like we've gotten a little bit, but I just feel like we're going to get it here in another level, and I think it's exciting, and I'm super duper pumped.
Can't wait. Well, we wanted to keep it short this episode, but knowing us, we can't control ourselves. We just go off on tangents. Basically, it's another 2-hour episode that I'll probably cut and post.
We'll fix it in post.
Which is one of my all-time favorite sayings. I want to give a shout-out. A couple of shout-outs.
Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
I'm going to shout out Adam Hutt right now, who's probably on his way to work as he's listening to this, driving to Bridgewater in that fucking traffic. Adam, we love you. Thank you for listening to us. He texted us today saying he loved episode 2.
Bro, he's going to be a father.
He's going to be a dad.
He's going to be a dad.
Congratulations to Adam and Renee on that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to give another shout out to Carl, who's been also taking his long drives and listening to us.
Captain America.
Mm-hmm. And shout out Michael Horgan, who's like the podcast master, just giving us our props. But yeah, I think every week we should give a few shout outs to some of our friends that have been listening to us.
I'll give out to my boy Chris, who he's been like, Chris is the man. I love the kid to death. I consider him my best friend, and he's been really supportive throughout this whole thing. And my girl May, she's been...
Dude, May's been like tweeting
she's
about
like
us and
our
everything.
number one cheerleader.
Yeah.
She's been like really spreading all the positive vibes, like, and sharing everything. doing her best to get the word out there, and I really appreciate it.
Now, I wanted to ask you: is she somebody you work with, or is she just a really good
She's
friend?
a girl. She's a really great friend. She's the one who I go to Celebration with all the time.
Oh, awesome!
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, she lives in Chicago.
Nice.
So
well, thank you, May. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
when she's back in town, I'll introduce you guys.
Cool. Also, too, for Chris, I just want to tell you, man, you have an open invitation anytime you want to come over and hang out, because he had my favorite comment on our YouTube videos where it was like Batman vs Superman, and then just that it's way better than Captain America Civil War.
He hates Civil War.
Does he really?
He hates Civil War, yeah.
Chris, I love you. Come over whenever you want. We're going to hang out. We'll watch Batman vs Superman with you, man. Come on over.
And he loves Jurassic World. No, he doesn't like Jurassic World. But if you go on his Facebook page, you'll see that he does love Jurassic World, because Jurassic World is the banner.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened. I have no idea. But yeah, I remember when he saw Civil War, I was like talking about how amazing it was, and then he texted me. He's like, bro, Civil War, ... I'm like, yeah, let's get into it. He goes, it's trash. I was like, what? I was like,
amazing.
Hot take.
Amazing.
I actually want to give one more shout out.
All right, give a shout out.
To you, my guy.
Yeah?
Because people don't know this, but Niz is the engine behind everything. I show up here, I smile, I get paid, I do my thing, and I go home. Niz stays behind, he edits it, he puts all the fun little stuff that you guys see on the videos is thanks to him. So, you know, we're a good duo, but you definitely, like, that sweet anchor money, you can keep majority of it. You know, we'll do like a 7/30 split, you know, because I feel like you do a little bit more work. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I think, and I just want to say, you know, I just want to say thank you, because you definitely put in a lot of work.
Well, I think the thing that I'm really excited about is that with you, if I can give you some praise, is that there's nobody that I want to do this with more, because I feel like that in terms of like talking about this kind of stuff, like you're the first person that I've encountered that can actually like go toe to toe and probably even overtake me in terms of knowledge of movies and
There's
things
certain
like
stuff.
that. There's certain stuff.
That's why we balance each other out really well. Yeah.
But you know, there's no other person I'd rather talk about this stuff than with you, man.
Can we like hold hands on the next episode? I think we should. We should just like hold across the table.
We probably should.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to episode 3. It was a fun one. It was a heavy packed episode. I'm sorry. We're gonna do our best to keep them shorter. We're going to do our best to keep them shorter, but sometimes we just can't control ourselves.
Yeah.
And until next time, which I believe next time is going to be our Invisible Man review.
Correct.
Right. So we're going to go see Invisible Man this weekend. We're going to review it, and you know, keep an eye out for that.
Awesome.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.